Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I hope you've all had a great day. I hope you've all had a great weekend. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about a story that happened in 2019. Yeah, that long ago, but it has now become the mainstream again because of certain situations going down within schools, within England, within the UK, and it has sparked this huge debate. As most of you know, we had this audio go viral not so long ago involving a teacher, students in the classroom clashing because the students didn't agree with what the teacher was trying to tell them, and allegedly from that audio it starts off with the student questioning another student for identifying as a cat. Here is that video on your screen. If you want to go check it out, you can go hear the audio for yourself. It is pretty mind-boggling. So with this, as I've said, we've got this story back from 2019 going viral once again because it is highlighting how big of an issue this is, and it was going on back in 2019. We have this Scottish student who goes by the name of Murray Allen, who was expelled from his school because he believes there are two genders. He stands for the truth. So even back in 2019, this tyrannical movement of teachers not allowing students to have their own thoughts, their own ideas, their own opinions was going on. Thankfully, he did record the situation, as are many students right now, and it's around 3 minutes long, so I'm not going to play the whole thing, but here's a short clip of what went down within this school. Take a watch.
You're entitled to your opinion.
If I am, then why would you kick me out of class? It's not very inclusive of
Can I finish my
opinion.
sentence, please? Not very inclusive. No, I'm sorry, what you were saying was not very inclusive, and this is an inclusive school.
Yeah, how was what I was saying?
Because I was saying that what's wrong with the website is that there are more than one gender in this country.
That's
by law.
your opinion.
That is my opinion, and that is an opinion which is acceptable in the school. I'm afraid yours, which you're saying that there's no such thing as anyone other than male or female, is not
Scientifically,
inclusive.
there are just two genders, depending on what
I get
gender
that, but you're choosing to make an issue of this, because I said, are you really going to hear? That was your opportunity to keep quiet.
You made the issue with it on the website. You said, oh, this website doesn't have more than two genders.
Murray, you were clearly given an opportunity not to pursue it. You chose to do so.
Yeah, because I think it's
You
silly.
chose to do so. Yes, that's the key question. You chose to do so.
I think it's silly to have anything other than two genders. So
That, okay.
Anything
could you please,
else is a
could you
personal
please
opinion.
keep that opinion to your own house?
So even back then, you can see how forceful this way of thinking was, and it's always the same excuse. It's all about inclusion. We're an inclusive school, and I'm going to say something now that I constantly say in pretty much every video now. You know, inclusion isn't about inclusion, it's all about exclusion. It's going to be on a t-shirt soon, but clearly if you disagree with the narrative, if you disagree with how people want you to think, act and talk, then you must be excluded. You must be removed from your job. You must be cancelled, or in this student's case, you must be expelled from your school for believing in the truth that there is only two genders. Now again, because the story went viral, GB News picked up on this and actually interviewed the student, so all thanks goes to them for this, all credit goes to them for it, and they dive a little bit deeper into this situation. So I'm just going to play a clip here where the student talks about why it went down, how it went down, and all the context surrounding it. Sit back, try and relax, and enjoy the madness.
Back in 2019, when I was a secondary school student, we were in the class and we were signing up for a website in one of our classes. And during the sign up process, as the teacher is explaining how to sign up, there was the drop down bar on sign up pages for websites that ask you to select the gender. And when the teacher had noticed on this website specifically that there were only two gender options, male and female, he presented that as an issue to the class and began speaking about how old-fashioned that was and how problematic it was. And I didn't understand that at all, because as far as I'm concerned, there are only two genders. And so I spoke up and I said, but there are only two genders. And before I knew, I was in a confrontation with the teacher where he was threatening to kick me out of the class if I wanted to continue standing behind that point. And I said, but I do stand behind that point. Next thing I knew, I was kicked from the class for about 40 minutes before the teacher came to join me. And at that point, I decided to record. Just on a whim, I recorded the interaction and it went online, and it became viral quite quickly. And obviously that's why I'm talking to you now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what happened after that, Murray? Was there more issues at the school? Because it sounds like you're a man who refused to back down. Can I also just say, arguably the more depressing thing than this guy spouting a load of nonsense and trying to indoctrinate you with it is the fact that how easily you, at the time a child, was able to just outwit him and do him in an argument. But that's a separate issue. So what actually happened after that? You got in trouble from the school?
Yeah, so I was kicked out of the class. I had that incident with the teacher. the video went online, and I was excluded from the school when the school found out about the video. And the video started making its rounds. People started, it went so far, I think, because people didn't realize the state at which this is being pressed in schools. I think it was quite shocking to people. So the video started spreading, and then I was called back into the school. And while it was sort of still in the public eye, they told me that I was going to come back to the school in 2 weeks and everything would be fine. And what they were really doing was they were trying to postpone it so that I didn't know I was going to be expelled, so that I wouldn't go and speak to, someone in the media or a journalist or something like that. And so 2 weeks later, I go back to the school. They say, actually, it's still very popular right now in the news, so you're going to come back after the summer. And really, they just waited and waited and waited until it died down in the news cycle. And then they told me I was expelled and no longer allowed to return to finish my education.
You know what? I'll say this. It is so great to see, even still now, he believes in what he says. He stands by what he's saying. And maybe I'm wrong in saying this, you guys can let me know in the comments below, but I feel like a lot of people in his position, regardless if it's at school or at work, wouldn't stick by what they said. They'd be a little bit more lenient, or they'd do a complete 180, and they'd be talking about other opinions from the other side, because today people are so scared to voice their true opinions because of the consequences. They walk around eggshells, they're scared to say this, they're scared to say that, and I actually think this is a big issue within society today. People need to have the courage to stand up for what they believe in. This guy said he believes in 2 genders, which is the truth. Again, we're questioning somebody's belief that is based in truth. It's all very weird. And they didn't allow him to continue his education. Even back then, teachers were acting in this tyrannical way. And it's so crazy to see that for so long, teachers have been allowed to act in this way and no attention brought towards it. I'm glad now more and more attention is being brought towards it, with students recording what's going on in classrooms, more and more people speaking out, and it needs to continue. People need to realize this is not how school should be acting, and people in high positions of power need to be taking some action. They really do. But he then gets asked the question from the interviewer on GB News, do you think this is indoctrination that is going on? Do you think kids are being indoctrinated to think a certain way? Or is it the teachers themselves being scared of being called transphobic, bigot, homophobic, etc., all the buzzwords underneath the sun, for not going along with the current narrative, the current mainstream narrative? And this is what he had to say.
In your view, where is this coming from? Is there an indoctrination trying to take place here from the teachers, or are the teachers afraid of being called transphobic? I just want to hear from you on this.
Yeah, well, absolutely. This sort of ideology began getting pressed when I was about halfway through secondary school. That's when I really noticed it started to take up part of the curriculum in my guidance class, for example. And I never agreed with it. And I know tons of other students don't want to be being taught this, but unlike other subjects where when you don't understand something or don't buy into something, you can question it and speak about it. And obviously in an education setting, you want to be able to have open dialogue and discussion about any range of topics. But it's very clear now in the education system, there are certain woke ideologies and ideas that can't be questioned. And if questioned, you will have labels thrown on your back and you'll be punished, and just like I was. And I've seen this much more now. And sadly, where I started experiencing this ideology in halfway through secondary school and was more able to realize it was false, now it's being pressed from an even younger age, and kids really now have very little chance because from the ages of 6, 7, 8, 9, they're being taught this is fact. And I know anything I learned at a young age in school, if someone said anything to the contrary, I would be adamant that that was right. I learned it in school. And so now when these kids that are being taught this get older and they meet people who don't feel the same way, they're instantly going to latch onto that person as a homophobe, transphobic, all these labels that these people throw at you.
Look at you, Murray, and they will look at you, and even people who believe the same thing that you do, right, will think, well, actually, right, I believe this, but is it worth me getting thrown out of school for it? I've got to ask you, we've not got too much longer left, Murray, but can I ask, do you regret it?
No, absolutely not.
What a guy. And he understands what is going on. We understand what is going on. And now a load of people understand what is going on. But there's one point he makes that I want to talk about, because we've also mentioned this on my channel when we've spoken about schools. And in my opinion, they teach stuff like gender theory to kids at a very young age, because this progressive world that is being ushered in is going to be upheld by future generations. So if you teach them stuff very early on, and then all the way throughout the education system, they're only going to have one thought, one belief. And within these classrooms, they're being told, no, you can't question this. You're not allowed to question this. You're not allowed to question that. They're then going to act that way in their real life, right? They're going to project that in their real life. So when they get into the real world, and even beforehand, and they meet somebody else who has a different opinion, a different thought, they're going to want them cancelled, removed from their job, banned from social media, expelled from the school. It is indoctrination, and they're trying to make everybody have the same worldview. So in the end, everybody just thinks, talks, walks, acts the same, and anybody who thinks any differently must be cast aside. Again, it's not about inclusion, right? It's all about exclusion, and this is what is going down within schools. And this is all another big reason why we're seeing it being pushed in other avenues. You know, it's not just schools, it's other things that have a younger demographic. They want it everywhere, regardless if it's social media, mainstream media, films, comic books, just kids' books in general. They're putting this everywhere. And it's, you know, not on accident. It's not just for fun. It's all purposely done. And schools need to be looked into now more than ever, because schools back then, 2019, now and in the future, shouldn't be allowed to enforce an ideology that students didn't ask for, and at some ages is extremely harmful, because you're going to be putting them down a path they originally wouldn't go down without this school, a certain school, installing a worldview into them. It has nothing whatsoever to do with education. We all see that. And we all see it has everything to do with indoctrination. And that is fact. But that is the end of the video. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I haven't kept you for too long. If you have enjoyed today, then please, for me, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave your comments down below. Share this video. But until next time, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day. Stay safe. And I'm out. Peace.